Have you ever felt that emptiness even though you were next to him? He says he loves you, but something is missing. You smile thank you, but inside you keep waiting. Waiting for something that even you can't explain properly. And then it happens. 3 words. They are not "I love you," those you have heard 1,000 times. They are 3 different words that, when spoken at the right time with the right intention, make your heart finally rest. You feel like you've been seen for real. Most men go their whole lives without discovering these words. They try flowers, expensive gifts, promises, but they continue to miss the mark. Because it's not about what you want to receive. It's about what your feminine soul needs to hear in order to feel complete. Carl Jung deeply studied the female unconscious and discovered something powerful. There are words that work like keys. They unlock emotional doors that you didn't even know were closed. What you're about to discover will change the way you view your relationships forever. 1. What you really want to hear, and no one says. From a young age, you learn to expect certain things. Princes charming who say beautiful phrases. Men who declare eternal love. Promises wrapped in gift paper. But as the years go by, you realize that none of this fills the void that exists deep inside. That feeling that something essential is missing, even when everything seems to be in place. The truth is that there is a huge difference between what society has taught you to want and what your feminine essence really needs. Novels, movies, romance books have created an idea of love that revolves around grand gestures and dramatic words. But his soul does not feed on drama. She really eats. When you stop to really feel, what you want is not a man who puts you on a pedestal. It's not someone who treats you like you're perfect or unreachable. What you want is to be seen in your full humanity, with their insecurities, their fears, their imperfections, and still be chosen, still be valued. There is an emotional hunger that lives inside you, a hunger that is not satisfied with compliments on their physical beauty or expensive gifts. This hunger wants something deeper. She wants recognition. He wants true presence. You want a man who doesn't just look at you, but who actually sees you. Most men don't understand this. They think you want to be idolized, that you want to hear how beautiful you are, how special you are, how different you are from everyone else. And yes, these things are pleasant to hear, but they don't touch the place that needs to be touched. They sit on the surface and you know it. What happens is that you have been conditioned to accept emotional crumbs as if they were feasts. You've been taught to be grateful when a man gives you basic attention, when he remembers his birthday, when he introduces you to his friends, as if that's the most you can hope for. But there's something inside you that knows you deserve more. No longer in the sense of quantity, but of quality, of depth, of real connection. You want to feel that when he looks at you, he's not just seeing a girlfriend, a wife, a beautiful woman. He's seeing you for real, with all the complexity that this means. Jung spoke about the human need to be understood in our totality, not only in our pleasant aspects, but also in what we hide, in what we are afraid to show. And for a woman, this is even more profound, because you've been taught your whole life to hide parts of yourself in order to be accepted. You hide your anger because women can't be angry. He hides his ambition because it can be scary. Hides your needs because it can feel like neediness. Hides your strong opinions because it can come across as aggressive. And in the end, you become an edited version of yourself, hoping that someone will love that fake version. What you really want to hear are words that give you permission to be whole, words that say you don't need to keep editing yourself, that you can relax, that you can take off your mask, who can show her wounds without fear of being abandoned because of them. These 3 specific words do just that. They create a safe space where you can finally breathe, where you don't always have to be at your best, where you don't have to be strong all the time, where you can just be human. The difference between an ordinary man and a man who actually sees you is right here. The common man will give you what he thinks you want: flowers, dinners, public statements. But the man who truly understands you will give you what you need: genuine emotional validation, real presence, security to be vulnerable. And when you finally hear those 3 words coming from a real place, something inside you changes. You don't have to keep testing anymore. You no longer need to create situations to see if he really cares. You no longer need to play emotional games to make sure he stays interested, because you feel it. You've finally received what you've been looking for all along. 2. Because empty words have never satisfied you. Have you ever lost count of how many times you've heard "you're beautiful" without feeling anything at all? How many "I love you" fell into the void? How many promises went in one ear and out the other? It's not that you're insensitive. It's just that his body has developed a kind of falsehood detector. You feel when words have no weight. There is an energy that accompanies the truth. When someone says something genuine, you feel it in your body. Your chest relaxes. Your breathing gets deeper. Something inside you recognizes that as real. But when words are empty, no matter how beautiful they are, they just don't get to you. They bounce off its surface and fall to the ground. This happens because you are dealing with layers. The surface layer of your consciousness can even process words. You may even think, how cute, he said he loves me. But the deeper layers, the ones that really matter, remain untouched. And that's why you keep hungry. He continues to feel that something is missing. Society has trained men to say certain things, to fulfill certain rituals, to follow a script of what is romantic. But no one taught them to be true. No one taught them to look inside and speak from that place. Then they repeat phrases they heard in movies. They copy gestures that they have seen other men make. And they hope that this will be enough. For you, it's not. You've already evolved beyond that. You have already understood that you prefer an honest silence than 1,000 beautiful words without substance. Have you ever realized that a single sentence spoken truthfully is worth more than an entire memorized speech? The problem is that it puts you in a difficult position because you don't want to sound picky. He doesn't want to look like nothing is good enough. Then you smile, thanks, pretend those empty words touched you, and he accumulates frustration inside. Jung said that we live in social masks that he called personas. These masks are necessary for us to live in society, but they become problematic when we start to believe that they are real. When a man tells you empty words, he's talking about his persona to the persona he thinks you are. There is no real meeting there. There is no true connection. You notice this instinctively. Your body knows. Your heart knows. That's why that subtle discomfort when he says, "You are the most beautiful woman in the world." Because you know he's not really seeing you. He is seeing an idealization, a projection, a fantasy that he created in his head, and that doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe it served when you were younger, when you still believed you needed to be that ideal woman to deserve love. But now you know that real love has nothing to do with idealizations. It has to do with being accepted in your raw reality. Empty words also carry a subtle violence, because when someone compliments you superficially, they're subliminally telling you that only that superficial part of you matters, that your physical beauty is more relevant than your essence, that your role as the perfect girlfriend is more valuable than your imperfect humanity. You get tired of it. She gets tired of being reduced to physical characteristics. She gets tired of being loved only when she is happy, tidy, available. She gets tired of feeling that she needs to maintain a performance to continue to be desired. And empty words reinforce exactly that. They keep you stuck in a role, in an image, in an edited version of who you really are. There is also a question of timing. Empty words often appear at the wrong times. He compliments you when you're vulnerable, as if your vulnerability is a problem that needs to be fixed with praise. He says he loves you when you're questioning the relationship, as if love is a magic word that solves everything. But you're not an idiot. You notice when words are used as emotional band-aids. What you need are words that show that he really paid attention, that he noticed details that no one notices, that he understood things about you that you yourself can barely articulate. These words exist. They are rare, but they exist. And when you hear them, you immediately know the difference. The central issue is that empty words treat you as generic, as if you were any woman, as if those same phrases could be said to anyone and would have the same effect. But you're not generic. You are unique, and it deserves words that recognize this uniqueness. When you finally find someone who speaks with substance, who chooses words carefully, who expresses true things even if they are simple, you feel the difference in your entire body. You don't have to pretend you've been touched. You really were, and that changes everything. And that's why empty words never satisfy you. Jung developed methods to create true connections. Want to learn more? Click the link pinned in the first comment. Let's continue. 3. The moment that changes everything between you. There is a specific moment in every relationship where everything is defined. It's not when you know each other. It's not in the first kiss. It's not when he asks you to date. It's a much more subtle moment, but infinitely more powerful. It's the moment where you decide, deep down, if you can really surrender or if you're going to keep your defenses up. This moment usually happens when you are vulnerable. When you showed something about yourself that you don't show to everyone. It can be insecurity, a fear, a part of your past that embarrasses you, a weakness that you hide, and the way he reacts at that moment defines absolutely everything that comes after. Most men fail here. They don't realize that this is the time. They don't understand the weight of that moment. Then they say things that try to fix you, or distract you, or they minimize what you're feeling. And in that very second, something inside you closes. A door that had opened closes again, and it may never open up completely again. But when a man understands this moment, when he says the 3 right words, something magical happens. You feel like you can totally let your guard down, that you can stop managing his emotions, that can stop worrying about being easy to deal with. You can just be. This moment works as a portal. Before him, you are getting to know each other, testing terrain, still a little superficial. After it, there is a real intimacy, a connection that goes beyond the physical, beyond the romantic, beyond the social. It is a connection of souls, and you know when it happened. It does not need external confirmation. You just know. Jung talked about synchronicity, about moments that carry a much greater meaning than they seem. This is one of those moments. It may only last a few seconds, but its reverberations last forever, because that's where you decide if this man is safe, if you can trust him with his weakest parts. The interesting thing is that this moment often happens in banal situations. You're not having a romantic dinner. They are not in a planned, deep conversation. They may be washing dishes together, or in the car coming back from somewhere, and suddenly you release something true, something that was kept, and his answer defines your future. What makes this moment so powerful is that it cannot be faked. You can't manufacture that connection. Either it genuinely happens or it doesn't, and your body knows the difference. Your intuition knows. That's why you can't be fooled here. No matter what he says, if it's not true, you're going to feel it. Many women spend years in relationships waiting for this moment, hoping that one day he will finally see her for real. May one day he say the right words. But this moment cannot be forced. It needs to come naturally. And if it doesn't arise, maybe it's because that man just doesn't have the emotional capacity to create it. That doesn't make him a bad person. It just means that he is at another level of emotional development. Maybe he's still too stuck in his own head. Maybe he's afraid of his own vulnerability. Maybe no one has ever created this moment for him, so he doesn't know how to create it for you. But when you meet someone who knows, you notice it immediately. It's as if a light bulb went on, as if finally someone spoke his language, as if you had spent your whole life trying to communicate in code and someone finally answered you in the same code. After that moment, the relationship changes its nature. It's no longer about impressing. It's no longer about maintaining interest. It's not about playing games anymore. It's about building something real, about being real partners, about creating a space where both can be vulnerable without fear. The 3 words that create this moment are not complicated. They are not poetic. They are not dramatic. They are simple, but they carry within them a deep recognition, a kind of validation that goes right to the core of who you are. And when you hear those words in the right context at the right time, coming from a real place, you know you've found something rare. Many women confuse this moment with passion. They think that what they are feeling is just intense attraction, but it is not. Passion burns fast and then goes out. What we are talking about is different. It is a flame that stays lit, that heats up without burning, that illuminates without dazzling. You also notice that after that moment, you start to trust in ways that you didn't before. He begins to plan for the future in ways he did not plan. It begins to open up in ways it had sworn it would never do again. Because you finally found someone who has given you permission to be whole. 4. How to recognize an emotionally mature man. Emotional maturity has nothing to do with age. You can find 50-year-old men who are emotionally children, and 25 men who have understood things that most will never understand. What defines emotional maturity is not how long you've lived, but how much inner work you've done. An emotionally mature man recognizes himself first by the way he deals with conflict. When you disagree about something, it doesn't have to be right at any cost. He can hear your point of view without feeling attacked. He can change his mind when he realizes he was wrong. He can apologize without making a drama. This sounds basic, but it's extremely rare. Most men were raised believing that admitting error is a sign of weakness, that to change one's mind is to be indecisive, that apologizing is losing power. So they prefer to hold untenable positions just so they don't appear vulnerable. But a mature man has already understood that vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. Another characteristic is how he talks about the women in his life. If he talks bad about all his ex-girlfriends, if they were all crazy or problematic, that says a lot about him. Because either he chooses very badly, or he can't take his part in the problems. A mature man can talk about past relationships with balance. He recognizes what worked and what didn't without having to demonize anyone. You also notice maturity in the way he deals with his emotions. He doesn't explode for anything. He does not use anger as a tool of control. He doesn't throw a tantrum when things don't go his way. He can feel frustration without projecting it onto you. He manages to be sad without completely closing himself off. He can be afraid without pretending to be invincible. Jung said that integrating the shadow is essential for psychological maturity. This means acknowledging and accepting the parts of ourselves that we don't like. A mature man has already looked at his own wounds. He has already understood his destructive patterns. He has already recognized where he hurts people, and it is actively working on it. That doesn't mean it's perfect. Far from it. It means that he is conscious, that when he makes the same mistakes, he realizes, that when he is being immature, he recognizes it, that when he's projecting his issues onto you, he takes responsibility. This awareness makes all the difference. Another way to recognize it is to observe how he treats people who can't do anything for him. How he talks to waiters, to cleaners, to people in positions of less power. If he is rude, impatient, disrespectful, it shows who he really is. Because anyone can be nice to those who matter. Maturity shows itself in how you treat those who don't matter socially. A mature man doesn't have to compete with you either. He doesn't feel threatened by his success. You don't have to diminish yourself to feel bigger. He does not sabotage his achievements out of insecurity. He genuinely celebrates when good things happen to you. Because he understood that relationship is not competition. You also notice maturity in the way he deals with his own needs. He doesn't expect you to guess what he wants. It communicates clearly. He doesn't brood over things without talking. He does not accumulate resentment in silence. They can express what they need without blaming you for not having offered them sooner. And perhaps most importantly, a mature man has a life of his own. He doesn't put you at the center of everything as if you were responsible for his happiness. He has friends. He has hobbies. It has a purpose. There are things that fill you besides yourself. This takes a huge pressure off your shoulders, because you don't have to be everything to him. That doesn't mean he's too independent. He still needs you. He still seeks you. He still wants his company, but from a healthy place, from a place of choice, not of lack. There's a huge difference between someone who wants to be with you and someone who needs to be with you to feel complete. An emotionally mature man also respects his limits. When you say no, he listens. When you need space, it gives without making you feel guilty. When you express discomfort with something, it doesn't convince you that you're wrong. He adjusts his behavior. You see maturity in the way he deals with your future. He doesn't shy away from conversations about commitment. He doesn't beat around the bush when the subject is serious. It doesn't leave you in uncertainty. He knows what he wants and communicates it clearly. And if he doesn't know yet, he admits it instead of pretending. And finally, a mature man can say the 3 words you need to hear. It succeeds because he has done the inner work necessary to get to that level of consciousness. You can do it because he really sees you. He succeeds because he understood that love is not about grand gestures but about genuine presence. 5. When you know you can truly trust, trust is not built in great moments. It builds in 1,000 little moments where he could let you down and chose not to. Where he could lie and chose truth. Where he could take the easy way out and chose to do the right thing. These tiny choices pile up until you realize you trust him for real. But how do you know when that point has arrived? Because there is a difference between wanting to trust and really trusting, between thinking you trust and feeling confident in your guts. Your body knows the difference. Your intuition knows, and you need to learn to listen to these signals. You know you can trust it when you stop checking his phone, not because you control yourself, but because he genuinely doesn't feel the need. The anxiety that used to exist is simply no longer there. You don't create scenarios in your head. He does not imagine betrayals. He does not interpret every little behavior as a sign of trouble. True confidence also shows up in your ability to be vulnerable without fear. You tell him things that could be used against you later and don't worry that he'll throw it in your face in a future argument. You show your imperfections without fear of being abandoned. You express needs without fear of being seen as problematic. Jung talked about the importance of having an emotional continent, someone who can hold our emotions without falling apart. When you truly trust, you feel that it is this continent, that you can dump your anxieties, your fears, your insecurities into it and it won't break. He will not run away. He won't judge you. Another clear sign is that you stop testing. Many women create unconscious emotional tests to see if they can trust. They create situations to see how he reacts. They provoke small arguments to see if he will leave. But when trust is real, those tests stop. Because you don't need proof anymore. You already have all the evidence you need. You also notice that your mental health improves. Relationships where there is no real trust are exhausting. You live in a constant state of alert. Your nervous system never completely relaxes. But when you truly trust, you rest. Your body rests. Your mind rests. You no longer need to be always vigilant. True trust allows you to have a life of your own without guilt. You go out with your friends without having to text you all the time to prove that you're not doing anything wrong. You have separate interests without fear that it will create distance. You are yourself without fear that it will be too much or too little. There is also a peace that comes with real confidence, a peace that you feel in your chest, that makes you smile out of nowhere thinking about him, that makes you sleep peacefully, that makes you wake up without that knot in your stomach that you used to have in other relationships. That peace does not lie. When you feel it, you feel it. An interesting sign is that you stop comparing. In relationships where we don't trust completely, we live comparing him to ex-boyfriends, comparing your relationship with that of your friends, looking for signs that something is wrong. But when you truly trust, these comparisons lose meaning. You don't need to validate what you have because you know the value of it. You also notice that you can disagree without fear. You can express a different opinion. You can say no. It may have a will of its own. And none of this shakes the relationship, because the trust you've built is strong enough to withstand disagreements, to endure individuality. To endure that, you are two complete people. Real confidence shows up in the way you talk about it to other people. You don't constantly vent. She doesn't complain about him with her friends. You don't need to ask for advice on every little thing, because you trust what you have. He trusts that they can work things out together. Trust that it does not need external validation. Another aspect is that you stop guarding emergency exits. Many women in relationships where they don't fully trust keep doors open. They do not give themselves completely. They keep part of themselves. They maintain emotional distance as protection. But when you truly trust, you surrender. You close those doors. You are fully present. You know you can trust it when he says the right 3 words and you believe it. Not only with the head, with the heart, with the whole body. And this belief changes everything. It changes how you relate. It changes how you love. It changes how you live the relationship. 6. Which makes you feel truly loved. Love is not what they say it is. It's not butterflies in the stomach that disappear after a few months. It is not great romantic gestures on special dates. It's not posting a photo together on social media. True love is much simpler and at the same time much deeper than all that. You feel truly loved when he chooses you in the small moments. When you're tired after a hard day and still wonder how your day went. When he has 1,000 things to do and still stops to listen to you. When he could be doing anything else and chooses to be with you. These daily choices are worth more than any dramatic statement. Feeling loved is when he remembers things you mentioned in passing. That detail about your work that you commented on weeks ago. That food you said you liked. That dream you told. When he demonstrates that you really pay attention. That you're not just background noise in his life, you feel like it matters. True love shows up in how he treats you when he's angry. Anyone can be loving when they are happy, but a man who truly loves you continues to respect you even when he is frustrated. Don't curse you. It doesn't humiliate you. He doesn't say cruel things that he can't undo. He may be angry but never cruel. You feel loved when you can be ugly. And we're not just talking about physical appearance. We are talking about being able to be emotionally ugly, being able to have bad days. You can be in a bad mood, to be able to not always be understanding and patient, to be able to be human, and he is still there, not because he has to, but because he understands that real people have bad days. Jung said that mature love accepts the shadow of the other. This means accepting not only the qualities but also the defects. You feel truly loved when you realize that he knows the worst aspects of you and chooses to stay anyway, not because he wants to fix you, but because he accepts you in your entirety. Love also shows up in how he talks about you when you're not present. You find out from friends that he speaks of you with pride, that he defends you when someone speaks badly, that he values you in conversations where you are not. This shows that his love is not performance. It's real. You feel loved when he includes you in his future naturally. These are not forced conversations about compromise. It's how he automatically considers you in his plans. How he talks about next year, about 5 years from now, and you're always included, as if it's obvious that you're going to be there. True love respects your autonomy. He doesn't try to control you. You don't get insecure when you have a life of your own. It doesn't make you choose between it and other things that are important to you. He understands that being complete as a person only strengthens your relationship. You feel loved when he supports you in your dreams, even when those dreams are inconvenient for him. Even when they mean you'll have less time on your hands. Even when they don't make rational sense. He cheers for you. He wants to see you shine. He doesn't feel threatened by his success. Love shows up in the way he takes care of you when you're sick. When you're at your worst, no makeup, in old pajamas complaining, and he is still there, making tea, buying medicine, just staying close. These moments show love much more than any romantic dinner. You feel truly loved when there is real reciprocity. It's not you doing everything. It's not you always giving in. It's not you carrying the relationship on your back. It's balanced. You give and take. You support and are supported. You love and are loved in equal measure. Love is also in how it protects you, not in a controlling way, but in a genuine way. It protects you from people who hurt you, of situations that put you down. It creates a safe space around you, where you can be who you really are without fear of judgment. This kind of protection makes you feel deeply loved. True love also appears in consistency. He is not only kind when he wants something. He is not only considerate when he is trying to win you back after a fight. He is consistent. You can predict how he will treat you, and this predictability is not boredom. It's security. You feel loved when he sees you grow old and continues to think you are beautiful. When your white hair appears, when your skin changes, when your body transforms, and he keeps looking at you with desire, with admiration, with love, because he understood that real beauty is not on the surface. Love is also in how he deals with his differences. You are not the same. You don't have to like the same things, and he doesn't try to turn you into a female version of him. He celebrates these differences. He learns from them. He grows through them. You feel truly loved when he says the right 3 words, and these words are not spoken only with the mouth. They are said with actions, with choices, with presence, with consistency, with everything he is and everything he does. And when you finally hear those words coming from that deep place, you know you've found something that most people spend their entire lives looking for. 7. The difference between being desired and being valued. Being desired is easy. You can be desired by dozens of men without any of them really valuing you. Because desire is superficial. It's about what you do for him, how you make it feel. But appreciation goes much deeper. When a man just wants you, he wants access to you. He wants his body. He wants your company when it's convenient for him. But when he values you, he wants your well-being. He wants your happiness, even when it doesn't directly benefit him. You notice the difference in how he acts when you're not available. If he just wants you, he gets frustrated, impatient, maybe even angry. But if he values you, he understands. He respects it, he waits, because he doesn't see you as something that exists to serve him. Desire ends when you get older, when your body changes, when you are no longer new. But appreciation increases over time. Because it's based on who you are, not how you look. It is based on your character, on your essence. A man who only wants you will hide you when it's convenient. It will keep you separate from important parts of his life. But a man who values you integrates you completely into his life, introduces you to important people. It includes you in decisions. Jung was talking about the concept of anima, the image of the feminine in the male unconscious. When a man just projects his anima onto you, he's not really seeing you. He is seeing a fantasy. But when he values you, he sees you beyond projections. He sees you as a real person. Being desired is about performing. You need to always look beautiful, always available, always at its best. Because his desire depends on his performance, but being valued is about existing. You may be messy, she may be tired, and the value he sees in you does not diminish. You notice the difference when you argue. If he just wants you, he can say horrible things in a fight. It can humiliate you, because deep down you are replaceable for him. But if he values you, even in anger, there is a basic respect that is never broken. Desire makes you feel powerful but empty. You know you have power over it, but it's a fragile power, based on appearances. But appreciation makes you feel safe, because you know that the place in his heart does not depend on you maintaining an image. A man who desires you will invest in gifts, on things that make you look good. But a man who values you invests in you, in its growth, in your dreams. He's not trying to buy you or impress you. Being desired means that he wants to possess you. He wants to make sure you're his. You want to control so that other men don't have access to you. But being valued means he trusts you. He knows that you are with him by choice. You notice the difference in how he talks about you. If he only desires you, he talks about your physical attributes, about how you make it feel. But if it values you, it talks about who you are, your qualities, your character. Its essence, desire, is intense but unstable. It burns strong and fast. It fluctuates depending on his mood, the circumstances, but appreciation is stable. It is constant. It is a flame that burns low but never goes out. Being desired puts you in a position of constant competition. You need to be better than other women, more beautiful, more interesting. It's exhausting. But being valued takes you out of this competition, because what he values about you is unique. A man who only desires you will leave you when he finds something better. Someone younger, more beautiful, because desire always seeks novelty. But a man who values you stays. Through change, through challenges, through time. When he finally says the 3 words you need to hear, you completely understand the difference. Because these words can only come from a place of real appreciation. And when you listen, you feel in your body the difference between being an object of desire and being a subject of value. How these words transform your relationship. There is a before and after these 3 words. It doesn't matter how long you've been together. When he finally says these words from a true place, something fundamental changes between you. It's as if you enter a new level of relationship that you didn't even know existed. The first transformation happens in your emotional security. You stop living with that background anxiety that accompanies so many relationships, that constant feeling that at any moment everything can fall apart, that fear that you're more invested than him. These 3 words create a solid foundation where you can finally relax. You also notice that you stop behaving in ways that don't come naturally to you. How many times have you policed yourself in previous relationships? She pretended to be calmer than she is. He hid his needs. He pretended he didn't care when he cared a lot. After these words, you can just be. No masks. No performance. The intimacy between you deepens in ways you didn't expect. And we're not just talking about physical intimacy, although that also improves. We are talking about emotional intimacy, of being able to share thoughts that you have never shared with anyone, to be able to show parts of yourself that you have always hidden. Jung called this the true encounter between 2 psyches. When the masks fall and 2 people meet in their complete authenticity, it's rare. It is precious. And these 3 words work as the key that opens that door, because they communicate total acceptance. You notice that your destructive patterns begin to fade. That tendency to sabotage when things are going well, that need to create drama to test if he will stay, that impulse to push him away before he leaves you. These patterns arise from fear, and when you finally feel safe, the fear subsides. The communication between you is completely transformed. You stop being afraid to express what you really feel. Stop calculating every word before you speak. Stop worrying that asking for something will drive you away. You can be direct, honest, white, and that changes everything. You also notice that you stop comparing your relationship with others. Stop looking at couples on social media and wondering why their relationship isn't like this. Stop listening to stories of friends and feeling jealous, because you finally understood that you have something real, something that does not need external validation. These words also transform how you deal with conflict. Before, every fight seemed like a threat to the relationship. You were terrified that an argument would mean the end. But after these words, you understand that conflict is normal, that you can disagree and still be fine. The way you plan for the future changes radically. You stop making plans with an emotional emergency exit. Stop thinking in terms of maybe. You start to really build, to really dream, to truly commit. Because for the first time, you feel like you can invest completely. You also notice that your love for him grows in new ways. It's not just passion. It's not just companionship. It is something deeper. It's gratitude for him seeing you, for choosing you, for having had the awareness to say the right words. These 3 words even transform how you relate to other areas of your life. You become more confident at work, more present with friends, more connected with herself. Because when you feel truly loved and valued in a relationship, it spills over into everything else. The transformation also happens in how you see love itself. You stop believing in fairy tales. Stop seeking perfection. You understand that real love is simple. It's about presence. It's about daily choice. It's about 3 words spoken from the right place. You notice that your friends and family notice the change in you. They see you lighter, happier, more yourself. Because being in a relationship where you can be authentic doesn't drain your energy. Feeds. These words also create a positive cycle. The safer you feel, the more you open up. The more you open up, the more connection you create. The more connection there is, the more he sees you. It is a cycle that strengthens over time. And perhaps the most important transformation, you finally understand what you've been looking for all along. It was not a great novel. It was not overwhelming passion. It wasn't being put on a pedestal. That was it. It was these 3 simple words that communicate. I see you, I value you, I choose you. And now that you've found that, you'll never settle for less.